The following program is intended for mature audiences.
A democratic republic of sports. The Sportsocracy with ESPN Asheville hosts Tank Spencer and Jeremy Green.
And welcome into the Wicked Weed studio, wickedweedbrewing.com. Drink different. I'm Tank Spencer, Jeremy Green alongside the New York Giants. Hey, you got a win. You finally get a win on the season 1-3. Now to start out the year after beating the New Orleans Saints.
That's the weirdest game I've ever seen in my life. Mm-hmm. I literally stopped paying attention to it and looked up and was watching Jabril Peppers say, "We want the fucking ball." Daniel Jones pisses me off.
Why?
And he has no reason to piss me off because
he doesn't know who you are.
I don't root for your team.
Right.
I frankly could care less. But the good is good.
Mm-hmm.
The bad is god awful. But he was good against a good defense. If you throw 400 yards in the NFL, you give me all the QBRs and shit you want to. That's pretty impressive. You got Kadarius Toney involved. You got John Ross involved, which I honestly thought he had quite possibly died.
Right.
There's a lot to like. There's a lot to like about this win.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be honest with you. I walked away from it more confused by the Saints than I was impressed by the Giants. Did you feel the same way?
I mean, I was impressed that the Giants were able to step up in overtime, close it out, get the win. I mean, Saquon Barkley has actually looked like Saquon Barkley for the last 2 weeks. I mean, not all the way, but at least 80% of Saquon Barkley?
He's looked better.
78% of what we think Saquon Barkley can be. And you're right. I mean, Daniel Jones has been playing pretty well to start out the season. The number one thing, the number one knock I've always had against him is the turnovers. And he just is not turning the ball over. And I don't know if it's something that's changed with Daniel Jones, if he's gotten over his fumbleitis, but he's just not doing it anymore. It's not that his line got better, that he's got better protection this year than he had last year. I think you could probably make the argument that he's getting worse protection this year than he had last year. So maybe Daniel Jones is taking the third-year leap.
Do you find that more likely, or do you find it more likely that they played the Washington football team, whose defense is an abject disaster, the Atlanta Falcons and the Saints, who played poorly?
Could be. It could be. And this week you get to face the Dallas Cowboys, which I don't think that's going to go your way.
Oh, I mean, that was my next question is, are you still going to feel that way when they're 1-9?
No. Oh, is that
because
how bad it gets?
At the Cowboys, Rams, Panthers, at the Chiefs, Raiders, at the Buccaneers.
Okay.
That's 1-9.
Okay.
That's 1-9, and I don't even think it's debatable.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would need to very slowly walk me through how they're not going to be 1-9.
Right.
So then for me, then the question becomes and this is one that I'm not holding against Joe Judge. I have said for a long time I think Joe Judge is the right coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have the wrong quarterback, and Dave Gettleman should have been gone forever ago. And that's a guy we covered here in Carolina for a long time. He is the worst GM in all of sports, and I'm including Isaiah Thomas. The guy, why am I forgetting his name? Detroit, Matt Millen.
Matt Millen.
He's that level of bad.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate because you're wasting good years of Saquon Barkley where he's running into a fucking concrete wall.
Mm-hmm. You've got pieces on this team. You've got
100%
pieces.
you do.
Yeah,
I like the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like the delivery system.
Yeah. Kenny Golladay, even Kadarius Toney showing some promise.
He's a shifty little shit.
He is. He had, 5 broken tackles?
Yep.
On one play this past week. The problem is your team overall is not good.
Well, and your schedule is absolutely brutal.
Right.
I mean, there are bad schedules. That's as bad as I think I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
Because you play, I mean, just looking at it, I think the lowest team in our power rankings that we just did, that you play in between now and Thanksgiving, is the Carolina Panthers.
And they're like 12.
I mean, that's insanity.
Right.
Especially playing in the worst division in football.
And then the back end of that schedule is, I mean, it's not that, I mean, I guess it gets easier.
The last 3 weeks are not daunting at all. The problem is I don't see how you're not sitting there at 3-11.
Right.
Going into the Eagles and Bears, which are both on the road, and Washington.
But there are good things to like about this.
100% there are.
You have had, like I said, you've had a couple of weeks where Saquon Barkley looked like he's in an actual impact maker in this league again. Daniel Jones is making plays not only with his legs but with his arm, and he's not turning the ball over. You've got the weapons on the offensive side. Your defense is lacking, but you got a lot of promise on the offense.
The defense has been flat out bad at times, and that would give me pause for cause because you spent a lot of money on that defense. You need to pull the checkbook from Dave Gettleman because I like I said, if you could find a GM that believed in Joe Judge, I don't know what to do with Daniel Jones at this point. I mean, I think we'll know more about that at the end of the year because this is the first time he's had really, really good legitimate weapons.
Right.
You play out the string and hope there's a GM out there that's competent at building an offensive line. But we watched this in Carolina for years. He loves big linemen. Unfortunately, he doesn't love big, talented linemen.
Right. He loves big hyped linemen that come out of college and they just don't translate to the NFL game well. It's unfortunate, but I think we've said more good things than I expected to about the New York Giants this year. So at least you've got building blocks. You got to find you a GM. It's going to be tough over the next 7 games.
But you're headed in the right direction.
You are indeed.
Of all the bad teams in the NFL, I would say the 2 New York teams, Detroit and Cincinnati, are the ones headed in the most right direction.
I would agree with that.
You all just need one thing.
Right. Hopefully we'll have a good report for you coming up next week here in the Sportsocracy. Again, you're at the Dallas Cowboys this week, so obviously a huge division win that could change the narrative a little bit if you're able to go into Jerry World and come out with a big win. So
and 100%, you beat the Cowboys, I'll be singing your praises from the rooftop. You have turned a corner, and what has happened to this?
Yep.
I don't think that's going to happen, but if it does, I will happily admit, okay, maybe I was wrong.
Keep the faith, G-Men, and we'll see you right here next week in the Sportsocracy. And, of course, every weekday morning in the Wicked Weed studio live at 10 a.m. Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.